The great hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as Admiral Gray's hologram flickered to life. His silver skin, typical of the luminary species, looked pale even for their standards. Behind him, the burning remains of an entire solar system cast an orange glow through the transmission. Honorable Council members, Gray's voice trembled. The Void Swarm has consumed the Proxima defense line. We lost contact with all 50 billion inhabitants. He paused, letting the horror sink in. This is the third system to fall this month. The council chamber erupted in panic. Representatives from 300 species talked all at once. Some wept, others argued, and a few simply sat frozen in terror. These were beings evolved from peaceful worlds, garden planets, and gentle oceans where survival had never required aggression or violence. Council Leader Blue, an ancient being from the water worlds, raised all four of his fins. The chamber quieted. Admiral Gray, what are our options? We have lost 60% of our fleet, Gray reported. Our weapons barely damage their silicon-based ships. The Void Swarm adapts too quickly to our tactics. He stopped, seeming to wrestle with his next words. They feed on our worlds, converting all matter into more of their kind. A small fuzzy representative squeaked from his floating platform. But we are the most advanced civilizations in the known galaxy. How can we be losing? Gray's hologram shifted uncomfortably, because we all evolved on worlds rated class 1 through 2. Safe worlds. Peaceful worlds. None of our species developed the traits needed for this kind of warfare. The chamber fell silent again. They all knew this truth. Their civilizations had grown great through cooperation and intelligence, not through struggle and conflict. Their bodies were suited for thinking and feeling, not fighting and surviving. There might be one option left. Gray activated another hologram. A blue and green planet appeared, wrapped in white clouds. While reviewing ancient records, I found information about a quarantine species. They evolved on a Class 12 death world. Gasps filled the chamber. Class 12, the highest danger rating possible. A murmur of fear spread through the council. You can't be serious, Blue said. The Deathworlders. They were quarantined for good reason. Their planet alone hosts thousands of lethal organisms. Their bodies contain enough acid to dissolve our hulls. They can survive radiation levels that would kill any of us instantly. Gray nodded. Exactly. And that's just their natural state. These humans also possess traits we can barely comprehend. They can break and heal their own bones, stronger than before. They chase prey until it dies of exhaustion. They can survive losing entire limbs and continue fighting. The fuzzy representative fainted, his platform automatically catching him. But the most terrifying part, Gray continued, is their minds. They seek out danger for entertainment. They deliberately expose themselves to poisons. They call it spicy food, for pleasure. They simulate warfare in games. Their entertainment involves controlled fear responses. They are perfectly evolved to face the horror we're fighting. They're monsters, someone shouted. No, Gray said firmly. They are survivors. And right now, we need survivors. He straightened up, his silver skin catching the light of the burning system behind him. The records show they've advanced significantly since their quarantine 3 centuries ago. They've cleaned their planet, reached their moon, and established colonies in their system, all while quarantined. Council Leader Blue swayed thoughtfully on his water-filled platform. You want to contact them. Ask these Deathworlders for help. Yes. Gray's voice was firm now. The Void Swarm is unlike anything we faced. We need a species that evolved facing constant threats. We need beings who understand combat in their very DNA. He paused. We need humans. The council chamber erupted again, but this time Blue raised all his fins for attention immediately. Admiral Gray, what you suggest is unprecedented. Breaking a quarantine, contacting a Deathworld species, bringing them into galactic society. With all respect, Gray interrupted, if we don't, there won't be a galactic society left to protect. Behind him, another star system began to dim as the void swarm consumed it. We need their help. We need their strength. Most importantly, we need their hope, because they evolved on a world that should have killed them, yet they thrived. If any species can help us fight this threat, it's the humans. Blue looked around the chamber, seeing the fear in every face. Then he looked back at the hologram of Earth, spinning peacefully in space, harboring the galaxy's most terrifying, and perhaps only hope. Make the preparations, Blue ordered. We're going to Earth. Ambassador Reed of the Galactic Council stood at the front of the diplomatic ship as it approached Earth's orbit. His silver-skinned hands trembled slightly as he watched the blue planet grow larger. Behind him, the small crew of volunteers from various council species tried to hide their fear. Receiving transmission from Earth Defense Command, the communication officer reported their bioluminescent spots flickering with anxiety. Reed took a deep breath. Put them through. A human face appeared on the main screen. The alien crew flinched involuntarily. The sight of exposed teeth, hardened bones covered by thin skin, and those predatory forward-facing eyes triggered deep instincts in their peaceful species. "This is General Miller of Earth Defense Command," the human said. "You are entering restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately." Reed stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Reed of the Galactic Council. We come seeking help in a matter of grave importance." The human's expression didn't change. The Galactic Council, the same ones who quarantined Earth 300 years ago. "Yes," Reed admitted, "and we were wrong to do so. We need humanity's help." Miller's laugh startled the alien crew. It was a sound their species rarely made. "That's rich. You lock us away because we're too dangerous. And now you want our help." Reed activated a hologram showing the Void Swarm's destruction. "This threat is consuming entire systems. Our weapons are useless. Our people are dying. We need—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "We need Deathworlders." The human's expression changed subtly. Reed couldn't read it. Human faces were too complex for his species to fully understand. "Land at these coordinates," Miller finally said. "We'll talk." Hours later, Reed and his team sat in a conference room at Earth Defense Command. The temperature was uncomfortably high for their species, the gravity slightly too strong. But what truly unnerved them was watching General Miller drink hot coffee, literally consuming a heated poison for pleasure. "Let me get this straight," Miller said, setting down his cup. "You quarantined us because we can eat spicy food, heal from broken bones, and survive in different gravities. Among other things," Reed replied. "Your species treats radiation like an inconvenience. You deliberately seek out dangerous situations for fun. Your bodies contain acids that could kill most council species. You can regrow damaged tissue and continue fighting after losing blood." Miller leaned back in his chair. "Those are just basic human traits. Wait until you see what we can really do." To demonstrate, Miller called in a soldier named James. The human proceeded to do something that made several alien diplomats faint. He started exercising. The sight of a being voluntarily straining its muscles, sweating toxins, and elevating its heart rate for no immediate survival reason was too much for them. "This is nothing," James said, barely breathing hard after his workout. "You should see our combat training." "That's exactly what we need," Reed said earnestly. "The Void Swarm is unlike anything we've faced. They don't negotiate. They don't retreat. They simply consume and multiply." "Sounds like a challenge," Miller said, and Reed noticed that strange expression again, something the humans called a smile, but didn't always indicate happiness. "But why should we help? Your council locked us away, called us monsters." Reed looked down at his hands. "Because despite our fear, we were wrong about your species. Yes, you are powerful. Yes, you can be dangerous. But you also build, create, and protect. We've monitored your progress. You've cleaned your planet, reached for the stars, and advanced your civilization, all while quarantined. You didn't let our rejection stop you." Miller shared a look with James. "You're right about that. Humans don't give up easily. It's not in our nature." "Then help us," Reed pleaded. "The galaxy needs what humans call impossible. We need beings who look at terrible odds and still fight. We need warriors who can inspire hope in peaceful species who have never known war." Miller stood up, his movement making the alien diplomats flinch again. But this time, Reed saw something different in their reactions. Not just fear, but also the beginning of hope. "Well," Miller said, "I always wanted to see the galaxy. Let me make some calls. I think it's time humanity showed the universe what Deathworlders can really do." Captain Thomas wiped sweat from his forehead as he finished his morning run around the Galactic Council's space station. Behind him, a group of alien scientists tracked his vital signs with a mixture of horror and amazement. They still couldn't believe humans purposely raised their heart rates and produced toxins, sweat, for exercise. "And you do this every day?" asked Dr. Glow, his crystalline body shimmering with confusion. "Most humans do," Thomas replied, taking a drink from his water bottle. "It keeps us healthy. Some of us even run marathons. That's about 42 kilometers. 3 of the scientists had to sit down at this information. The fourth one, a floating gas-based being, condensed slightly in shock. "But why?" Dr. Glow asked. "There's no predator chasing you." Thomas grinned, a gesture that still made the aliens nervous. "Because we can. Because it makes us stronger. Speaking of which, want to see something really interesting?" He led them to the station's training area, where a group of human soldiers were doing their daily workout. The sight of 20 humans lifting weights, sparring, and climbing ropes made the alien scientists huddle together in fear. "They're deliberately damaging their muscle fibers," one scientist whispered. "Yes," Thomas explained patiently, "and they'll heal stronger than before. That's how humans work. What doesn't kill us literally makes us stronger." The aliens watched in fascination as the training continued. A female soldier named Rogers was demonstrating hand-to-hand combat techniques. She took a hit, fell down, and got right back up. An action that would have sent most council species into medical hibernation. "Amazing," Dr. Glow muttered, making notes. "Their pain tolerance is extraordinary. And look, they're smiling while fighting." Thomas nodded. "Humans enjoy challenges. It's part of who we are. Now, want to see something really cool?" He led them to a sealed chamber where several humans were training in different gravity settings. The aliens watched in disbelief as the soldiers adapted to each change within minutes, adjusting their movements and continuing their exercises. "Impossible," one scientist breathed. "Their bodies shouldn't be able to adapt so quickly." "That's humans for you," Thomas said proudly. "We're very adaptable. Had to be, coming from Earth. Our planet throws everything at us. Different temperatures, pressures, terrains. We learned to handle it all." The demonstration continued with tests of human endurance. The aliens were particularly shocked by the humans' ability to function with minimal sleep, their quick healing of minor injuries, and their capacity to digest foods that would be lethal to most council species. "But the most important thing," Thomas explained, leading them to a simulation room, "isn't our physical abilities. It's this." Inside, a group of humans was running a combat simulation against a virtual void swarm. The aliens watched in amazement as the humans coordinated their efforts, adapted to changing situations, and kept fighting even when things looked hopeless. "See that?" Thomas pointed. "When things get tough, humans don't give up. We get creative. We work together. We find a way to win." Dr. Glow's crystalline form sparkled with excitement. "This is exactly what we need against the void swarm. But can you teach our species to be like this?" Thomas shook his head. "We don't need to make you like us. That's not the point. What we can do is teach you to find your own strength. Every species has something special. Humans are just good at finding ways to use those special traits. He walked over to a window overlooking Earth. Look at our planet. It tried to kill us thousands of times. Instead of giving up, we learned from each challenge. That's what humanity can teach the galaxy. Not how to be human, but how to face impossible odds and keep fighting. The aliens joined him at the window, their fear slowly being replaced by something new. Hope. Maybe these strange, resilient Deathworlders really could help them save the galaxy. When do we start? Dr. Glow asked. Thomas smiled. We already have. Every time you watch us and think impossible, but then realize it can be done. That's the first step. Now, who's ready to see what humans call extreme training? The aliens looked at each other nervously, but for the first time, their curiosity was stronger than their fear. Lieutenant Maria stood before a mixed group of human and alien soldiers in the training deck of the Galactic Defense Station. The alien troops, representing 12 different species, watched nervously as she paced back and forth. Today, she announced, we learn about controlled aggression. She picked up a training staff, making several aliens flinch. Don't worry, we'll start slow. A tall plant-based alien named Green raised his leaf-like appendage. But Lieutenant, our species are not built for combat. We can't match human strength or endurance. Maria smiled. You're right. You're not humans. And that's perfectly fine. She tossed the staff to Green, who caught it reflexively. See that? Your reflexes are twice as fast as mine. Each of you has unique abilities that humans don't have. She pointed to different aliens in the group. You can see in ultraviolet. You can sense electromagnetic fields. You can process information faster than our best computers. You're not here to become humans. You're here to become better versions of yourselves. The training began with basic movements. Maria showed them how to use their natural abilities in new ways. The plant-based aliens learned to use their flexibility for defense. The crystalline beings discovered their hard surfaces made excellent shields. The gas-based aliens found they could confuse enemies by rapidly changing shape. Remember, Maria called out as they practiced, the Void Swarm expects you to run away. They don't expect you to stand and fight. Sometimes, surprise is our best weapon. In another section of the station, Commander Jack worked with alien ship crews. He stood in front of a massive simulator screen, showing recordings of Void Swarm attacks. See this pattern? He pointed. They expect you to follow standard Galactic Council tactics, maintain safe distances, retreat from radiation, preserve your ships at all costs. He paused the recording. We're going to teach you something different. The alien crews watched in amazement as human ships demonstrated new battle strategies. They flew through radiation fields instead of around them. They used damaged ships as weapons. They turned weaknesses into strengths. But these maneuvers have a 40% chance of ship damage, protested Captain Bright, his bioluminescent spots flashing with anxiety. Yes, Jack agreed, but they have an 80% chance of success. Sometimes you have to risk damage to achieve victory. Humans call it calculated risk. Back in the training deck, Maria was teaching her group about teamwork. She paired different species together, showing them how to combine their abilities. A gas being confused targets while a crystalline warrior attacked. Plant aliens used their flexibility to protect slower but stronger species. Humans aren't special because we're stronger, Maria explained as she walked among the training pairs. We're special because we never stop trying. We fall down 7 times, get up 8. That's what we want to teach you. An insectoid alien named Click suddenly succeeded in a difficult defensive move. Instead of retreating in fear when attacked, they stood their ground and redirected the force, just as Maria had taught them. Excellent, Maria cheered. The other aliens stopped to watch. See that? Click just did something their species has never done before. Not because they became human, but because they found their own inner strength. Click's antennae wiggled with pride. It felt strange, good strange, like being afraid but choosing to act anyway. That's courage, Maria explained, and every species can learn it. As the training day ended, Commander Jack joined Maria to observe the troops. The aliens were tired but excited, chattering about their achievements. Many had done things they never thought possible. They're learning fast, Jack noted. Maria nodded. They just needed someone to show them it was possible. Humans aren't teaching them to be fearless. We're teaching them that they can act despite fear. Do you think it will be enough against the Void Swarm? Maria watched as Click demonstrated their new move to their squad mates. The other aliens were copying it, adapting it to their own body types, improving it. Look at them, she said. Yesterday they could barely stand in a combat stance. Today they're inventing their own moves. Tomorrow, she smiled. Tomorrow they'll show the Void Swarm what happens when you push peaceful beings too far. In the background, the aliens continued practicing, their movements becoming more confident with each passing moment. The impossible was becoming possible, one small victory at a time. Red lights flashed throughout the combined fleet as the Void Swarm appeared at the edge of the Centauri system. Commander Jack stood on the bridge of the flagship, surrounded by both human and alien crew members. This was the moment they had trained for. Multiple hostile contacts, reported Click, their antennae twitching as they monitored the sensor readings. At least 300 swarm ships approaching. Jack nodded calmly. Just like we practiced. Green Squadron, take position in the radiation belt. Crystal Team, form up your shield wall. The alien crews moved with newfound confidence. 3 months of training with humans had changed them. They were still afraid, but now they knew how to use that fear. Void Swarm is launching their first wave, Click announced. They're using their standard consumption pattern. Jack smiled. They're expecting the old Galactic Council tactics. Let's show them something new. Lieutenant Maria, is your strike team ready? Ready and eager, Maria's voice crackled through the comm. Her small fleet of mixed human and alien ships waited hidden behind a nearby moon. The gas form pilots are especially excited to try their new maneuver. The Void Swarm approached like a dark cloud of mechanical locusts, their silicon-based ships gleaming with an ugly metallic sheen. They moved in their usual pattern, expecting the alien ships to retreat to safe distances. Instead, they found something very different. Green Squadron burst from the radiation belt, their plant-based ships now covered in special shielding designed by human engineers. They scattered the swarm's front line, their superior speed and reflexes allowing them to dodge the deadly particle beams. They're responding just as predicted, Click reported excitedly. Breaking formation to chase Green Squadron. Crystal Team, now, Jack ordered. The crystalline ships moved into position, their reinforced hulls forming a massive reflective wall. When the swarm fired their energy weapons, the crystals didn't just block the beams, they reflected them back, turning the swarm's own weapons against them. Maria, you have your opening. Maria's strike force emerged from behind the moon, led by the gas form pilots. The gaseous aliens had learned to rapidly change their ship shapes, making them nearly impossible to target. They created chaos in the swarm's ranks while human ships followed, striking at critical points with devastating accuracy. We've breached their defense line, Maria reported, moving to Phase 2. The swarm ships tried to adapt, but they faced something they had never encountered. Enemies who didn't behave according to their evolutionary programming. Plant beings who charged instead of fled. Crystalline ships that absorbed damage instead of shattering. Gaseous pilots who turned their natural evasiveness into an offensive weapon. And everywhere, human ships led the charge, showing their alien allies that impossible odds just meant trying harder. Direct hit on their command node. Click's voice was filled with unprecedented excitement. The swarm is losing coherence. Jack watched as the battle unfolded. The Void Swarm, for the first time since they appeared, was being pushed back. Their silicon-based ships scattered, their coordinated patterns broken by tactics they couldn't predict. All ships, Jack commanded. Execute final strike pattern. Just like we practiced. The combined fleet moved as one. Humans provided the core assault while each alien species used their unique abilities to maximum effect. Plant ships tangled swarm vessels in energy nets. Crystalline ships formed prismatic barriers, trapping enemies in killing zones. Gas form pilots created sensor-confusing clouds that left swarm ships firing blindly. When the battle ended, the Centauri system was filled with drifting debris from destroyed swarm ships. The combined fleet had suffered damage, but not a single ship was lost. Status report, Jack called out, hardly daring to believe it. Click's antennae quivered with joy. Void swarm forces eliminated. Complete victory, Commander. The bridge erupted in cheers, human shouts mixing with alien sounds of celebration. Jack looked around at his crew, seeing the pride in their faces. The plant beings were glowing brightly, the crystalline officers sparkled with joy, and the gas forms swirled in happy patterns. Send word to the council, Jack ordered. Tell them that together, we've proven something important today. He looked at his alien crew members with pride. Tell them we've proven that hope is stronger than fear, and that anyone can learn to be brave. The message was sent, carrying with it the news of the first victory against the Void Swarm. But it carried something even more important, proof that the galaxy's peaceful species could learn to fight back, especially with a little help from their Deathworlder friends. Dr. Anna stood in the massive training hall of the Galactic Defense Academy, watching as thousands of alien cadets from across the galaxy performed their morning exercises. Just 6 months ago, such a sight would have been impossible. Now, it was becoming normal. Your heart rate is elevated, observed her assistant, Swift, a hovering gas form being. Are you experiencing distress? Anna laughed. No, Swift. I'm excited. Look at them. Really look at them. The training hall was filled with diverse alien species, each adapting human training methods to their unique bodies. Plant beings stretched their flexible limbs in ways they never had before. Crystalline entities practiced absorbing and redirecting energy. Even the most peaceful species were discovering their hidden strength. Remember how they were when we started? Anna asked. They couldn't even watch humans exercise without feeling scared. Swift swirled thoughtfully. The change has been remarkable. Yesterday, I saw a group of water dwellers voluntarily practicing in higher gravity. They said it was fun. That's the human influence, Anna said proudly. We're not just teaching them to fight. We're teaching them to challenge themselves. Across the room, Admiral Gray entered with a group of council observers. The once nervous admiral now walked with confidence, his silver skin gleaming with health. The council members watched in amazement as different species demonstrated their progress. Impossible, one council member whispered. These are the same beings who used to flee at the first sign of danger. Gray nodded. Dr. Anna and her team discovered something fascinating. Each species had natural defensive abilities. They just never learned to use them actively. Humans showed us how. They watched as a group of plant beings demonstrated their new technique. Instead of just bending away from attacks, they now used their flexibility to create powerful snapping motions, turning defense into offense. But it's not just about fighting, Anna explained, joining them. Look there. She pointed to a medical training area where humans were teaching alien medics new techniques. The aliens were learning to treat injuries they once thought fatal, to help their people recover faster, to push through pain instead of shutting down. We're changing the galaxy's understanding of their own potential, Anna said. Every species is discovering that they're stronger than they thought. In another section, Click, now a training instructor, was teaching a group of insectoid aliens like himself. Fear is natural, he clicked at them. Humans taught me that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about acting despite fear. The council members moved to the technology section, where human engineers worked alongside alien scientists. Together, they were developing new ways to combine human resilience with alien abilities. Look at this, a crystalline engineer said proudly, displaying a new ship design. We've adapted human shock absorption techniques to work with our natural crystal structure. Our ships are now 3 times stronger. Similar innovations were happening everywhere. Gas-form beings learned to use their shape-shifting abilities tactically. Aquatic species discovered they could use water pressure principles in space combat. Even the smallest, most peaceful species found ways to contribute. The Void Swarm doesn't stand a chance, Admiral Gray said confidently. Not because we're becoming more violent, but because we're becoming more adaptable, more resilient, more human. Anna shook her head. Not more human, more in touch with your own strength. Humans just showed you it was possible. The council members watched as training session ended. Different species helped each other up, encouraged each other, celebrated small victories together. The fear that had once divided them was being replaced by something stronger: hope, determination, and unity. Send word to all council worlds, the lead council member decided. The Defense Academy is to be expanded. Any species that wants to learn can learn. Anna smiled as she watched the aliens leave the training hall, chatting excitedly about their progress. Some were even making jokes about their former fears. The change wasn't just in their abilities. It was in their spirits. Humans have a saying, she told Swift. A rising tide lifts all boats. We're not just teaching them to fight the Void Swarm. We're teaching them to believe in themselves. Swift swirled in agreement. And belief, on learning, is the most powerful force in the galaxy. 1 year after the first victory at Centauri, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different. Gone were the fearful whispers and nervous movements. Instead, representatives from 300 species sat tall, each bearing marks of their transformation. Admiral Gray stood before them, his silver skin gleaming with pride. Behind him, the hologram showed the latest battle map, and it was a sight that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. The Void Swarm was retreating. The combined fleet has pushed the swarm back from 57 systems, Gray reported. Thanks to our human allies and what they've taught us, we're not just surviving anymore. We're winning. Commander Jack stepped forward next to him. But the real victory isn't in the battles we've won. It's in how the galaxy has changed. The council chamber's screens lit up with images from across the galaxy. Plant beings teaching their young ones to be strong instead of just flexible. Crystalline species building cities that embraced challenge rather than just seeking safety. Gas-form beings exploring new shapes and abilities they never dreamed possible. Look at what we've become, Jack continued. Not by copying humans, but by learning from their example. Each species has found their own strength. From her seat, Dr. Anna watched as different representatives stood to share their stories. Click, now a general, described how his insectoid species had transformed their hive minds from centers of caution into networks of courage. The plant beings spoke of how they now used their growth patterns to create living fortifications. The Void Swarm's greatest weakness, Anna explained to the council, was that it couldn't adapt to our changes. It expected us to behave according to our old patterns, to run, to hide, to surrender. Instead, we showed them something new. The screen showed footage from recent battles. Aquatic species using water pressure tactics in space, crystalline ships forming complex defensive matrices, gas-form pilots executing maneuvers that defied traditional physics, and everywhere, human ships fighting alongside them, not leading but partnering. We were wrong about humans. Council Leader Blue admitted, his fins moving gently. We saw their strength as a threat. We didn't understand that true strength isn't about destruction. It's about growth, about facing challenges, about helping others rise. Lieutenant Maria, now a fleet commander, stepped forward. Humans have a saying. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. We didn't make the galaxy more dangerous by sharing our strength. We made it stronger. The chamber filled with sounds of agreement, clicks, hums, rustles, and glowing patterns. Species that once feared their own shadows now spoke confidently of future battles and victories. The Void Swarm is not defeated yet, Gray reminded them. But for the first time, we know we can win. Not because humans are fighting for us, but because they taught us to fight for ourselves. Jack smiled as he watched the council members. Some were practicing combat stances even during the meeting, something unthinkable a year ago. Others were excitedly sharing stories of their children's progress in the new combined training academies. "This is humanity's true gift to the galaxy," he said. "Not our strength, but our belief that strength can be found anywhere if you're willing to look for it." Anna stood and walked to the center of the chamber. A year ago, this room was filled with despair. The void swarm seemed unstoppable. We thought we needed humans to save us. She paused, looking around at the transformed faces. But what we really needed was for someone to show us that we could save ourselves. The chamber erupted in cheers, hundreds of species celebrating not just their victories, but their transformation. The fear that had ruled them for so long was gone, replaced by something stronger: hope, courage, and the unshakable knowledge that they could face any challenge. As the celebration continued, Jack turned to Gray with a smile. "So, ready to tell them about the new training programs we've planned?" Gray's silver skin rippled with excitement. "You mean the zero-gravity obstacle courses, the underwater combat training, the volcanic environment simulations?" "Exactly those," Jack grinned. "Think they can handle it?" Gray looked around at the chamber full of beings who had completely transformed themselves in just 1 year. "Handle it? My friend, they're going to love it." And in that moment, watching the celebration, everyone understood a fundamental truth. The galaxy had changed not because of humanity's strength, but because humans had shown them that every species had strength of their own. They just needed someone to believe in them first.